Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We are tracking the fallout from a CNN report revealing disturbing comments Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson reportedly made on a porn site. This afternoon, how the political world is responding.
And it feels a little muggy out here on the patio this morning. We've got some big puffy cumulus clouds out there. I'll let you know if any of those will produce rain for us this afternoon.
Plus, we have our first look at the inmate investigators in Cumberland County say escaped custody. We are walking you through what we have learned about this situation and him. We've got a lot to get to this afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us here on WRAL News. I'm Chris Lovingood in for Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. The North Carolina political world is still reeling from the CNN investigation of Mark Robinson. But Robinson is staying in the race despite the revelations of lewd and divisive online posts made by a username that tracks back to the lieutenant governor. His Democratic rival, Josh Stein, says it does not change the election as far as he's concerned. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie joins us live from the McKimmon Center at NC State, where Josh Stein spoke just minutes ago. Laura.
Renee, Republican leaders have accused the Stein campaign of leaking that bombshell report to CNN. Attorney General Stein told us this morning that didn't happen. He said he first learned of the what he called salacious details yesterday, along with everyone else. A CNN reported a user named Mini Soldier had made dozens of profane and inflammatory comments on a porn site called Nude Africa. CNN tracked that username back to Robinson's name, email, and photo. The comments made between 2008 and 2013 included calling himself a black Nazi and saying Hitler would be preferable to Barack Obama. Robinson has denied any knowledge of the comments. He said he did not post them and claimed someone else must have impersonated him to smear him. At an event moments ago, Stein told reporters Robinson was unfit from the beginning, so it doesn't change the race as far as he's concerned.
I wish I could say I was surprised. Look, he had called Martin Luther King a communist before. He has said awful things about Jewish people before. To see him declare that he himself is a Nazi is incredibly disturbing. That is absolutely disqualifying. But he has shown who he was before yesterday.
Stein also said again that he will not debate Robinson. He said it's not his job to normalize the things that Robinson is saying. Meantime, some Republicans are seeking to distance themselves from Robinson, for example, removing photos or endorsements from social media. Some are calling on Robinson to prove he didn't post those comments. Robinson has not responded to our multiple requests for an interview. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Former President Donald Trump returns to North Carolina this weekend. He's set to hold a rally in Wilmington tomorrow afternoon. This comes just days after his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, visited Raleigh. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is scheduled to hold a rally this evening in Madison, Wisconsin. Last night, in fact, she sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a live event in Michigan. It was called Unite for America. Harris took questions from voters about the cost of living, reproductive rights, and immigration. The first North Carolina ballots for the November election, they'll be mailed out today. The State Board of Elections says all 100 counties will mail absentee ballots to military and overseas residents today. It's one day before the federal deadline. All other requests will be mailed on September 24th. The ballots were delayed nearly 2 weeks, and that's because the state Supreme Court ruled Robert F. Kennedy Jr. must be removed from the ballot. That means the absentee ballots had to be reprinted.
Well, following some breaking news here in the WRAL Live Center, just within the last 30 minutes, Governor Roy Cooper vetoing a bill that would have expanded private school vouchers by hundreds of millions of dollars. He made these comments during a news conference where he was touting 2024 is the year of public education. The governor calling public school vouchers, private school vouchers, I should say, the biggest threat to public education in decades.
I am not against private schools and parents choosing that option. It works for some children. But I am against taking taxpayer dollars out of the public schools and giving it to private school vouchers for the wealthiest North Carolinians, and that is exactly what House Bill 10 does.
Well, about 54,000 students are now on a wait list for those vouchers, though some might already be in private school. Now, this House Bill 10 would also force sheriffs to work with federal immigration officials to detain people who are in the U.S. illegally in some cases. It's not likely this veto will stand because the General Assembly has a supermajority. You can follow our coverage of this today at the education section of WRAL.com.
Ken, thanks. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office is searching for a man who escaped custody last night while being evaluated at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. WRAL's Brett Neese is live outside the hospital. And Brett, we're learning more about who they're searching for.
Yeah, we're learning a lot about this man. This is 30-year-old Daquan Hoffman that the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office is looking for. They say he escaped here from Cape Fear Valley Medical Center around 9:45 last night. I want to show you his picture. This is the picture that the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office just put out of Hoffman, the 30-year-old that they are now searching for. They've been searching for all night. He was arrested 2 days ago on several charges, including outstanding warrants for larceny of a motor vehicle. He was also wanted for violating his probation and kidnapping. The Sheriff's Office says he was being evaluated here at the hospital before being booked in the Cumberland County Jail. Officers were out all night searching for him along Bragg Boulevard. They say it was around 3 a.m. when he was last seen at the Motel 6 there on Bragg Boulevard. Sheriff's Office says if you see him or know where he is, call 911. Do not approach. Live in Fayetteville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
2 men charged in connection with the shooting death of a Durham man are both due in court on Monday. Durham police arrested Jamar Beulah and Jalen Steele in connection with the death of Charles Parker Jr. Beulah is charged with second-degree murder. Steele is charged with accessory after the fact. Police say the crime happened the morning of April 19th on Miami Boulevard. Officers say Charles Parker had been shot. He was taken to a hospital where he died. Beulah and Steele are in the Durham County Jail with no bond.
Fall is just 2 days away, and yet it feels like summer going into the weekend. Elizabeth Gardner is on the WRAL weather patio. And Elizabeth, there's also the chance for storms this afternoon and through the weekend, too.
So if you happened to be out yesterday evening, you probably noticed those big, tall, towering cumulus clouds, and you may or may not have seen a thunderstorm or a shower roll through. Exact same pattern today that we saw yesterday. We take a look at our tall tower camera. This is in eastern Wake County, and we're looking off to the west. We're looking almost eye level at the bottom of those clouds, and you can see how gray they are. That's the moisture hanging in those clouds. So we will likely have at least a few of these producing some rainforest this afternoon, but it's going to be like yesterday, just isolated. Little popcorn showers that pop up, maybe a rumble of thunder. 82 degrees right now, and our dew point has jumped to 70. Anytime the dew point is in the 70s, it feels like summer. And standing out here on the patio, yeah, it feels pretty muggy. I'm happy that the sun is behind a cloud right now. I'm very sorry that I happened to be wearing black today. That was not good planning on my part. Futurecast, taking a look as we get through the afternoon. We'll continue to see the cloud cover developing, and notice how we see a few little pop-up thunderstorms, especially from the Triangle area southward. That's what we'll see this afternoon. It won't be a lot. It'll just be very similar to what we saw yesterday. So our rain chances later on today likely to be just in the around 20% or so, and that carries into the weekend. For tomorrow during the day, it's a 20% chance. Overnight, Saturday night, we're tracking a disturbance that'll come through while most of us are sleeping, and I'll show you that coming up on Futurecast. Sunday, we're also at a 20% chance of storms.
All right, we'll see you in just a bit. Thank you, Elizabeth. This morning, another home collapsed into the ocean near Rodanthe. Cape Hatteras National Seashore is again urging people to avoid that part of the beach. We've got WRAL's Nora Klein here for this story. Noah, this is the third home collapse this year.
Chris, it's also the 8th home over the past 4 years. Take a look. This is drone video we took in just about the last week or so before the home came down. You can see it was really already starting to crumble, even some debris going into the coast. I want to show you now the before and after. New pictures from the National Park Service show some of the aftermath. Here it is. The house, we should mention, was vacant. The National Park Service said a home nearby was damaged when the house collapsed this morning. A debris removal contractor is expected to begin cleaning up that site today. WRAL News reported just a few days ago this home was likely to come down from the combination of erosion, strong wind, and those king tides. Community members there had been helping clean up the damage that was already done. Septic tanks were cracked open along the coast, spilling raw sewage into the water. We spoke with the family who owns the home about the possibility that something like this could happen. That's available right now over on WRAL.com.
Noah, thanks. Police are investigating a pro-Palestinian protest that left parts of UNC's campus looking like this. Demonstrators vandalized buildings and disrupted classes. This was the first such protest on UNC's campus since the one during commencement. Yesterday, a Palestinian flag was raised on a UNC flagpole. The same action led police to place barricades during a protest last school year. The university said nearly 150 protesters went into at least 9 different academic buildings, shouting and attempting to disrupt class.
We have to take this resilience and do things that, they're not convenient for everybody, just to get the university's attention.
The protesters called on UNC to divest from companies with ties to Israel. UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts said in a statement, the university won't tolerate it and will pursue every avenue possible to hold people accountable.
We saw the rate cut this week from the Fed, and we saw the rallying with the stocks, but it looks like right now the Dow Jones actually down 39 points there. The same is true for S&P and NASDAQ, also down for this time being. We'll see how the investors are going to react once the week begins on Monday and the opening bell hits. First communication devices exploded in Lebanon, and now rockets from Hezbollah have struck Israel in response. This afternoon, a look at the newest conflict building in the Middle East.
Plus, a hiker slipped and fell down a mountain and managed to record the whole thing. We'll show you the angles that person captured in a 360-degree view.
And the Department of Justice is not playing with social media and streaming companies. They are accused of unlawfully selling your data. A look at the platforms under investigation. That's next.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Hezbollah pounded northern Israel with rockets today, a day after the militant group's leader vowed to retaliate against Israel for a mass bombing attack. Hezbollah says its attack targeted air defense bases as well as the headquarters of an Israeli armored brigade. NBC's Raf Sanchez reports on the damage from Tel Aviv.
The Israeli military continuing strikes across southern Lebanon for a second day. An Israeli security official telling NBC News that Israeli forces are attacking with artillery and airstrikes, but at this point, ground forces have not crossed the border, and they seem to be pursuing a broader set of aims than the sort of skirmishing tit-for-tat that we have seen over the last year. Israel says the goal is to degrade Hezbollah's capabilities all across southern Lebanon. They say that they took out around 100 rocket launching sites in those strikes yesterday. Hezbollah is firing back. The sirens are going off in northern Israel. We are seeing smoke rising in some areas there. And all of this deepening fears that we may be hurtling towards all-out war following those 2 days of explosions, first pagers and then walkie-talkies in Lebanon. U.S. officials say that was a vast, covert Israeli operation targeting Hezbollah members, but a number of civilians are known to have been killed in that attack, which is drawing increasing criticism from human rights groups and some Democratic members of Congress. At this point, the Israeli military has lifted restrictions on the civilian population in the north of the country. That appears to be a sign that they are not anticipating an immediate escalation. But there is a lot of concern on both sides of the border right now, especially after Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the Iranian-backed militant group Hezbollah, said that Israel's operation with the pagers and walkie-talkies crossed all red lines and could be considered a declaration of war. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
In the wake of those deadly explosions in Lebanon this week, Qatar Airways is banning pagers and two-way radios on board planes leaving out of Beirut's airport. The ban applies for checked and carry-on luggage as well as in cargo storage. Lebanon's health ministry says 37 people have been killed and around 3,000 injured by those exploding pagers and walkie-talkies.
A hiker says somehow He managed to survive slipping and falling down a steep mountain. I mean, this video, just watch. The 42-year-old man was hiking in eastern China when he fell. The moment was captured on a 360-degree camera. Super cool views, but not so cool of an experience, right? The close-up view shows him skid down a slip slope before, wait for it, right there. A tree stops his fall and saves his life. The hiker says he was not badly injured in the fall, but he has some bruising on his left leg. Ooh, stopped my heart a little bit just watching that video. All right, we've got meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking your weather forecast for the weekend. I know you like to hit the slopes when you do a little skiing there, Elizabeth, but nothing like that, almost falling down a mountain.
Yeah, nope. Don't like to hit the trees, that's for sure. Oh, my goodness. So if you're thinking about getting out and about over the weekend, we're going to talk about the things that you need to know. It's definitely a get outside kind of a weekend as long as you understand the two things that we have to worry about this weekend. First, we're going to take a look at what's happening live here in Wake Forest. And again, we can see those cumulus clouds. These are big puffy clouds that look like big cotton balls. Those are called cumulus. And these are the ones that eventually can help to produce some rain. And you can see how they look gray on the bottom. That's where some of the moisture is collecting. And some of these are going to let loose and produce some rain for us later on this afternoon, like we saw yesterday. It is 82 degrees right now, which is not a terrible temperature, but the dew point's at 70, and that is a high dew point. So it is definitely muggy out here. And when you add the sunshine to that dew point, it feels like summer. We take a look at the big picture, and there's really not much to see. We don't have a big high pressure system. We don't have a big low. The low that came in, that tropical low that we saw early in the week that dumped all of that heavy rain along the coast and brought us a good bit of rain too, has fizzled out. It has decayed, but it still left this tropical moisture here. So there's not a lot of lift in the atmosphere, but we see the sunshine coming out, and it warms the Earth's surface, and we start to see some lift happening, and we've got those clouds out there. So again, an isolated storm pops up. There's 5 o'clock, and you can see 1 or 2 of those in our southern counties. We're going to repeat this again for both Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be warm, it's going to be muggy, and we're going to have a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. And that's what you need to know. Don't be surprised if you're out and about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Saturday or Sunday, and you're like, whew, it feels hot and sticky. It's going to feel that way this weekend. I was out yesterday evening and saw some of these little rainbows that were in between the clouds. It was so pretty, and I think a lot of folks saw them. We got a lot of weather watchers sending us photos. Charles Rinchitz sent us this one from Raleigh. Just beautiful rainbow there. Of course, we always love your weather watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com, search weather watchers, and post them. We've gotten a lot of them lately. We really appreciate that. Okay, watch these clouds popping up on the visible satellite. You see what kind of looks like popcorn that's just popped up? Those little white dots there. Those are the cumulus clouds that have really started to develop just in the last hour across our area. And boy, I'm seeing them out here on the patio too. Temperatures this afternoon likely to be in the low to mid 80s, and so that's definitely warm. It's going to be a bit humid over the weekend. 84 Saturday, 87 Sunday, with just that small chance for thunderstorms. We should see a nice little drop in the humidity by Monday, but it is going to stay pretty sticky for us. If you're going to be out and about, I put yellow for outdoor plans. I mean, that means go out there, but just know it's going to be warm and humid, and we will have that very small chance for thunderstorms. Sunday is the first day of fall, 87 degrees, but it'll feel a little bit more comfortable on Monday. We have a system that could develop in the tropics over the next few days. We're going to take a look at that coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. A judge shot and killed in his own courthouse in Kentucky overnight is prompting extra security measures to be taken inside courtrooms. Today on WRAL News at 4, how our local courthouses and jurisdictions are working to keep judges safe.
And tonight on WRAL News at 5:30, the eastern Wake County suburbs that was once an affordable option for those priced out of the triangle are now becoming too expensive for a lot of people. What's causing this to happen and the extensive growth it's seen over the past 5 years. Customers are kicking off their Halloween shopping a bit early. The percentage of people taking advantage of early deals and who likely has their tricks and treats right now.
Plus, it's also time to start making your holiday travel plans. The best time to score the best prices after the break.
I'm sure many of you will find this very exciting. Ads on YouTube can play even when your screen is paused. YouTube managers say that the platform rolled out pause ads to all of its advertisers. So even when the video is stopped, an ad will pop up on the side of your screen. YouTube says the change creates a less interruptive viewing experience for the people watching. Users on social media say it's yet another inescapable ad on the platform. It's unclear if this change can get around ad blockers, though. The Cheddar Bay biscuits have been given new life. The CEO of Red Lobster says the restaurant chain exited Chapter 11 bankruptcy this week. Red Lobster has 545 locations in the United States and Canada, and it employs roughly 30,000 workers. The CEO says that he has a, quote, comprehensive and long-term investment plan for the restaurants.
Two important recalls to tell you about. The first involves thousands of beds sold at some major retailers after reports of collapsing. CVB Incorporated is recalling around 138,000 Lucid branded platform beds. Here's what they look like. The beds were sold at Amazon, Walmart, and the Target websites. There have been 245 instances of these beds breaking or collapsing in the U.S., resulting in 18 related injuries. Parents who use baby powder, you'll want to know about a recall concerning one particular brand. The FDA says Dynarex Corporation has recalled its Dynacare baby powder due to the possible risk of asbestos. The company says 62 cases of 14-ounce plastic bottles with item number 4875 has the potential to be contaminated. The baby powder was delivered to 12 states, including North Carolina, and sold on Amazon. The expiration date is December 28th, 2026. Stop using the product if you have it. You can return it for a full refund. So far, no illnesses have been reported.
AAA is reporting people in North Carolina are already booking their holiday trips. 25% of people started planning their trips before August. Almost half plan to book their holiday trips this month or in October. A small percentage will wait until November, even December. And to get the best deals, prices, and the other information, AAA recommends booking your trip right now if you can. JetBlue is planning to set up airport lounges at least 2 major airports next year. The airline says the first lounge will open at JFK Airport in New York. The second will be at Boston's Logan International Airport. Company officials say the lounges will boost the value of JetBlue's TrueBlue loyalty program. This is part of a plan to increase premium perks. The lounges will be primarily reserved for holders of a new premium JetBlue credit card.
Nearly half of Halloween shoppers plan to get their candy, costumes, and decor before October. That's up from 37% last year, according to recent data. Ages 25 to 34 dominate early Halloween shopping. Total spending is expected to hit $11.6 billion. And while that's a whopping figure, it's down from a record $12 billion last year.
There were calls to tone down political rhetoric after a second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, but that doesn't appear to have happened. How this is affecting campaigns on both sides of the aisle. Next.
And for years, we told you about social media sites collecting and selling your data. Now the government says it's also happening to non-users, how you can protect your sensitive information. First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
After the second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, politicians say the rhetoric needs to be toned down on the campaign trail.
However, it doesn't appear to be happening. Rebecca Castor reports both sides are pointing the finger at each other.
Trump is a threat to our democracy.
He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. The fact is that I'm not a threat to democracy. They are.
Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
He's the worst president we've ever had. So they're destroying our country.
That is just some of the rhetoric that's been used on the campaign trail. But after 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump, both sides are calling for it to end while still casting blame.
The Democrats, the Kamala Harris campaign, they've got to cut this crap out or they're going to get somebody killed.
I call upon the candidates, Mr. Trump himself, to tone down the rhetoric. Mr. J.D. Vance, too. Tone down the rhetoric.
I suggest we all tone it down.
Investigators haven't yet shared a motive, but social media posts from the man in custody following Sunday's apparent assassination attempt shows he believes Trump is a threat to democracy. But it doesn't appear a change in language is coming anytime soon.
President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking.
That was Rebecca Castor reporting. This debate comes as the Secret Service is preparing to release its internal report on the first assassination attempt against Donald Trump. The acting director has indicated some agents will face disciplinary action.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, the State Board of Elections want to make sure that North Carolinians know to bring their ID when they show up to vote. The State Board of Elections releasing this ad today that will be airing all across the state. It's a 30-second spot explaining the process of voting with an ID and how to get one. The commercials will be airing between now and Election Day, which is November 5th.
Thank you, Ken. A North Carolina trial judge refused a Republican Party request. That was to block UNC students and employees from showing digital IDs to vote. GOP groups sued last week to halt the use of the mobile UNC One card as a qualifying ID. They argue the state law only allows the State Board of Elections to approve physical cards. The mobile UNC One card was approved August 20th by the board's Democratic majority. The Chapel Hill Public Library is helping voters get free voter IDs. You can get one every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. All you have to do is stop by the library during those hours. It's open to the public. To find a list of acceptable photo IDs for the election, just go to the State Board of Elections website.
Federal investigators are accusing social media and streaming companies of a massive campaign to collect personal information on users and even non-users. While it may be easy to delete an account, remember your digital footprint could live forever. Here's Tom Costello.
Federal investigators call it a vast surveillance of anyone using some of the most popular social media and streaming companies, including Amazon's Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter X, Snap, TikTok, Reddit, WhatsApp, and Discord, gathering user age, gender, and location, even marital status and income to target ads and sell the data to third parties.
They've amassed vast profiles of just about every American, including Americans that don't even use these services.
The FTC says companies are too often failing to protect personal information, exposing users, including children and teens, to a range of threats from identity theft to criminal stalking. And Congress needs to create tough new privacy laws. What are these companies doing with the data they collect on all of us?
We were quite disturbed by the fact that some of these companies did not even know all of the third parties with whom they were sharing data.
Today, many of the companies refuted or declined to comment on the report, though in the past, Meta Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has defended his company.
We give people the ability to connect with the people they care about and to engage with the topics that they care about.
Online advertisers today said consumers understand the value exchange and welcome the opportunity to have access to free or highly subsidized content and services. But security pros say most of us simply scroll through the long user agreements when we sign up.
It's either opt-in or you don't get to use the service. And so many people are in a hurry and they don't read it.
That was Tom Costello reporting. So how can you protect your personal information? A virtual private network can hide your web traffic from your internet service provider, as well as your device's IP addresses.
The U.S. Department of Justice is spreading awareness about a rise in hate crimes in our state. The department held a hate crime forum at Fayetteville Technical Community College Thursday. Victims shared their personal stories and how their lives have been affected. Leaders also gave an overview about federal, state, and local hate crime laws and provided resources that victims can use. According to Justice Department data, reported hate crimes in North Carolina increased from 186 in 2020 to 330 in 2022. That is an increase of 77% in just 2 years. Some staff at Durham Public Schools will now get more money in their monthly paychecks. Last night, the board voted unanimously to approve an additional $80 per month in the supplement for some employees. This happened as the district has overhauled its salary schedules for classified employees after protests happened. The positions include, in this increase, speech language pathologists, teachers, and nurses, among others. A judge was shot and killed in his chambers, and the man accused of murdering him is a sheriff. How investigators are trying to learn the answers to the question, why?
Plus, just look at Pesto here, the newest social media darling. We'll tell you why people are obsessed with this king penguin. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, SpaceX launching another batch of satellites into orbit on one of its reusable rockets this morning. Take a look at it. The Falcon 9 rocket lifting off from the Santa Barbara County coast through very low clouds. The rocket soared through the deep layer of clouds and carried 20 Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit. SpaceX has a Starlink constellation of satellites orbiting Earth about 340 miles up. The Starlink network is designed to deliver high-speed internet anywhere around the globe. It's always interesting to see this site.
Ken, thanks. A sheriff in eastern Kentucky is charged with killing a district judge after an argument inside the judge's chambers. This happened Thursday afternoon. Investigators say Sheriff Sean Steins shot and killed District Judge Kevin Mullins. Steins turned himself in after the shooting and was arrested. No one else was hurt. Investigators say they will review cameras inside the building for clues about a motive. A federal judge granted a conditional release for an Alaska man accused of sending graphic threats to injure and kill 6 Supreme Court justices and some of their family members. The 76-year-old is accused of sending more than 465 messages through the Supreme Court's public website, many of them violent, racist, and homophobic. The indictment does not name which of the 9 justices were threatened. The court is split 6-3 between conservatives and liberals. Under conditions of the release, he cannot directly or indirectly contact the justices he targeted.
A traffic alert for you this weekend if you're driving on I-440. If the weather cooperates, the State Department of Transportation will demolish the old eastbound bridge over Hillsborough Street. Hillsborough Street at I-440 will be closed tonight at 9 until 5 a.m. Monday. Transportation leaders say that you want to plan for detours and any traffic backups. Full slate of games are set up for WRAL and Fox 50 this Sunday. At 1 o'clock on Fox 50, the New Orleans Saints will play the Eagles. Then it's Ravens versus Cowboys. After that on Fox 50. Then on Sunday Night Football on WRAL, the Kansas City Chiefs are taking on the Atlanta Falcons on the road. Kickoff is at 8:20.
He brought us so many memorable moments at the Summer Olympics in Paris. Now Snoop Dogg is looking to make memories on the new season of The Voice. A preview of his debut and the other new judge joining the panel next.
Plus, what's old is new again. One of the tallest peaks in the Great Smoky Mountains is reverting back to its former name.
The Voice returns for a new season on Monday night with some new faces. Snoop Dogg and Michael Bublé joined the coaching panel, along with Gwen Stefani and Reba McEntire. Mark Barger has a preview of the Blind Auditions season premiere.
Come on, man. I'm the biggest kid in the crowd.
After being the Olympics' biggest cheerleader last month in Paris,
my biggest competition is me. I compete against me every day.
Snoop Dogg is bringing his own unique spirit to The Voice.
He's just such a loving person. It's infectious, and it's an amazing joy to be around him.
Gwen Stefani is joined by another Voice rookie, Michael Bublé.
Yeah, I've never been with an ensemble before. It's always been me standing alone on stage, and honestly, I was terrified to do this. I mean, terrified.
But bonding with a fellow first-timer quickly put Bublé at ease.
Mike is that's my brother from another mother. Me and him, we like this. I just feel like me and him grew up together.
Last fall, Reba McEntire was the rookie.
I have not won a season of The Voice yet.
She took care of that back in the spring. and appreciates what the newcomers bring to the show.
This guy, you never know what he's going to say, ever.
I was in a group growing up called the Booblettes.
You were not.
Well, maybe not.
And the same with Snoop. And they really don't care who's listening. That's how honest they are.
While they blowing all that smoke over there, I'm telling you the truth.
And all of the coaches are ready
I need to do some push-ups.
to do whatever it takes to win over artists in the blind auditions.
There's a reason that we're sitting here. It's because we're competitive.
The battle to win the voice is about to begin. Mark Barker, NBC News.
The Voice premieres Monday at 8, followed by the premiere of the medical drama Brilliant Minds at 10.
There's new life at the Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium. A new king, in fact. Pesto is bigger than your average king penguin chick. At just 9 months old, he weighs in at a whopping 49 pounds. That's a big boy. Pesto is the heaviest penguin chick ever recorded at the Sea Life Melbourne Aquarium. His brown baby Fluff has also made him a hit on social media. It has grabbed him attention of nearly 2 billion people across the world. And now I want to hug Pesto. All right, we go outside now to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. She is on the WRAL weather patio getting you started for your weather forecast for the weekend. So chances for rain each of the days, Elizabeth, at all?
Don't dress like Pesto. That's all I can say for the weekend. It's going to feel like summer. It's going to be hot and humid, and that's exactly what it feels like right now. I was just telling my coworker who's out here with me, it's like, why did I wear black to be on the patio today? That was definitely a fail. Okay, let's start off talking about radar. Just in the last 20 minutes or so, we've had a couple little cells. We've been talking about that all newscast, and you can see now over in Chatham County, around Siler City to over toward Pittsburgh, those tiny little cells that are popping up. You know, what pops up today is likely not to get much bigger than that, but we're going to see these little cells that produce some brief heavy rain because we have so much moisture in the atmosphere. That's the only spot in our viewing area that we're seeing them right now, but we will definitely see more of those as we get into the afternoon. Take a look at Fayetteville. You can see those puffy cumulus clouds. Same story in Apex, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill. So there's really no part of the viewing area that's going to escape seeing some of those today. Satellite and radar looks quiet, but we're going to have those little cells that pop up over us during the day today. We check out Futurecast, and Futurecast is showing just a few of those in a few hours, but definitely we're going to see more than what Futurecast is showing us, and then we'll repeat that again on Saturday and Sunday. So just be on the lookout. Again, this is going to feel very much like what we saw yesterday with those big puffy cumulus clouds popping up and just a few showers. And yesterday we got to see some really cool rainbows, and so maybe you'll get to see that today. Futurecast again Saturday and Sunday, starting off with a little cloud cover in the morning, but we end up with that chance of a few isolated cells popping up in the afternoon and evening. Now Saturday night we actually have a real disturbance that swings through, and that's going to bring us a chance of some overnight rain. It's out of here by 7 a.m. and then the rest of the day will feel like today, partly cloudy, and those tiny little cells starting to pop up later in the afternoon. So our 5-day rain forecast is only 20% for today, tomorrow, and Sunday and Monday. So just, know that we're going to have a couple of these little cells that pop up, and it's not going to be much of a big deal. Let's check out the tropics. There are two systems there in the middle of the Atlantic that are just not likely to get their act together. They're down to 20% actually, and 40% for the one that's likely to develop. This one only has a 40% chance, but we look at the computer models and they are definitely showing this developing. In terms of our potential for a tropical depression out of this, it's about a 60% chance on the models, but watch what happens as we go through Futurecast. We're going to jump ahead to Tuesday, so 4 days from now, and then watch what's happening in the southern Gulf of Mexico. Lots of red and orange colors, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see a little bit of rotation forming there, and see how that on Sunday at 8 p.m. is right up, right about the Florida coastline, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, right there. So it's possible that the storm develops and moves up and potentially starts to affect the coast, the Gulf Coast of the United States by late Sunday into Monday. For us, the weekend's just going to be warm and sticky. We get a little bit of a cool down on Monday.
LA Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani etched his name in MLB history.
How the Japanese sensation slid into his spot as the inaugural member of the 50-50 Club. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today.
We continue to follow political fallout across North Carolina following the CNN investigation of Mark Robinson. Robinson is staying in the race despite the revelations of lewd and divisive online posts made by a username that CNN has tracked back to the lieutenant governor. His Democratic rival, Josh Stein, says it does not change the election as far as he's concerned.
The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office is searching for a man who they say escaped custody last night. This is while being evaluated at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. We showed you a photo just a bit ago of him, and the Sheriff's Office sent that out not long ago. He was arrested 2 days ago on several different charges, including outstanding warrants for larceny of a motor vehicle. He was also wanted for violating his probation and kidnapping, too.
Early this morning, another home collapsed into the ocean near Rodanthe. Cape Hatteras National Seashore is again urging people to avoid that part of the beach. It is the 8th home to collapse over the past 4 years and the 3rd this year. The house was vacant. The National Park Service said a home nearby was also damaged when the house collapsed this morning.
The name of the highest peak in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is reverting back to its Cherokee name. The U.S. Board of Geographic Names voted unanimously to rename Clingman's Dome to Kuohi, which translates to Mulberry Place. In 1859, a geographer renamed the peak Clingman's Dome after Thomas Clingman, who was a U.S. Senator from North Carolina and a Confederate brigadier general.
LA Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani makes history, becoming the inaugural member of the 50-50 club last night against the Miami Marlins. A 50-50 season consists of 50 or more home runs and 50 or more stolen bases in a single season. The Dodgers won the game 20-4 over Miami, clinching a spot in the playoffs. Ohtani's custom New Balance Ohtani ones, featuring his dog Decoy, are headed to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
A unique roller coaster is opening next year at a popular Midwest amusement park. Cedar Point Amusement Park in Ohio is bringing the Siren's Curse to its lineup of rides. It's billed as the tallest, the fastest, longest tilt coaster in North America. This ride climbs 160 feet, then tilts 90 degrees. Nope. Nope. Then it changes your view straight down before screaming off down the track at 58 miles per hour. That's a big no for Mr. Lovingood.
Yeah.